This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and French President Emmanuel Macron held a meeting in Paris yesterday, pledging to deepen cooperation on artificial intelligence and regional security amid Armenia's growing tech ambitions. Last year was a landmark one for French-Armenian relations, Pashinyan said during the meeting, which took place on the sidelines of Paris's AI Action Summit, according to a press release published by his office. The leaders discussed expanding collaboration in energy, defense, and transportation, while Macron reaffirmed France's support for Armenia's territorial integrity and ongoing normalization negotiations with Azerbaijan. The talks also touched upon Armenia's upcoming role as host of the COP17 Biodiversity Conference in 2026, with France offering technical assistance for the event. Macron praised Armenia's alignment with the European Union's perspectives on innovation and emerging technologies, highlighting the country's participation in the AI summit as evidence of shared values on technological development. The meeting coincided with a new partnership signed by Armenia's Ministry of High-Tech Industry and French startup Mistral AI, aimed at strengthening Armenia's artificial intelligence infrastructure and modernizing public administration. At the summit's official dinner held last night, Pashinyan encountered a number of other world leaders, including Prime Ministers Narendra Modi of India and Justin Trudeau of Canada, along with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who Pashinyan also met last week in Washington. Armenia's fight against corruption has stalled, raising concerns about the country's progress in implementing change. Armenia must implement serious and systemic reforms in its fight against corruption, otherwise the situation will continue to deteriorate, said Varujan Hokhtanyan, program director at the Transparency International Anti-Corruption Center. His remarks came today at a forum on the release of Transparency International's 2024 Corruption Perceptions Index, which has Armenia's score unchanged from the previous years at 47 points out of 100. Hokhtanyan noted that after initial progress following the 2018 Velvet Revolution, the country has failed to build on those gains, and its score has remained stagnant since then. The CPI is the most widely used global corruption ranking, measuring how corrupt each country's public sector is perceived to be, according to experts and business people. Government officials at the forum insisted they are taking action, with Yeprem Karapetyan from the Ministry of Justice citing ongoing legislative reforms. However, many anti-corruption programs are funded by U.S. aid, and all assistance was recently put on hold as the Trump administration reviews and makes drastic cuts to the organization. Karapetyan says the government is now exploring the possibility of funding these initiatives from other international partners and the state budget. Meanwhile, Mariam Galstyan of the Corruption Prevention Commission highlighted flaws in Armenia's public procurement laws, calling for urgent legislative revisions to prevent corruption risks. Armenia trails Georgia in the CPI, which has 53 points, while they are both far ahead of other neighboring states. Iran scored 23 points, while Russia and Azerbaijan tied with 22, which is Azerbaijan's worst corruption score ever. In the latest edition of CivilNet's weekly economic digest, we cover the unprecedented work stoppage at the Zangezur copper molybdenum combine, Armenia's largest and most profitable enterprise. Employees returned to work today after a one-week strike, which reportedly cost the company about $1 million per day. We also detail the cut in interest rates by 25 basis points to 6.75%, as inflation continues to remain well below the central bank's 3% target level. You can find the full broadcast up now on our website at civilnet.am or through the link in the video description below. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 700. That's the amount of money in US dollars an average tourist spends to visit Armenia, according to Lucine Gevorkyan, the head of the country's tourism committee. She says her agency's goal is to increase this figure among tourists, more than 2.2 million of whom visited last year. While Russian tourists still make up the largest share of visitors, their numbers are declining. In contrast, the number of tourists from neighboring Georgia and Iran is on the rise. Tourists from the U.S. accounted for just 2.6% of all visitors in 2024. And as always, please follow ＳիվիլNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.